So good morning, everyone. Welcome to a Brilliant Businesses podcast. My name is Nick Bryant, and I'm very pleased to be joined today by Matt Allen from Synergee, who are chartered accountants and business advisors. Hey, Matt.
Hi, Nick. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Really
good to see you. Good to see you.
And you?
So this is going to be interesting because we've had. I recently did a podcast with Darren Austin, who is Matt's business partner, and we heard his side of the story. So now we're going to put the puzzle together and hear the right side of the story. Matt,
get the truth.
Get the truth out. Yeah. So so tell us how you got into where you are, Matt. Tell us your side of Synergee's story.
Mine's slightly shorter than David's. No, I'm joking. Well, I mean, back at school, I was really keen on sport. I was convinced I was going to go into sport at some point, but I slipped a disc when I was 15, which kind of set the cat amongst the pigeons a little bit. And then I remember I went to see a careers advisor, and I don't know, you had to go and do it and tick the boxes. And I was just sort of chatting with her, and she was like, well, what do you like? And I was like, well, I like sport, but I can't do that. And then sort of chatting away, and I was like, well, I don't tell my friends, but I really like maths. And I was reasonably good at it, and funny enough, good with numbers. And she was like, have you thought about accountancy? I was like, what's that? Yeah. Just had a chat, and I carried on. I ended up doing my A-levels, but I did a GCSE in accountancy of an evening. I did spend more time out and about rather than going to the evening classes, but don't tell my parents. But so I didn't do particularly well. But before I took my A-levels, I wrote to loads of accountancy firms sort of for jobs, I suppose like you did back then. It's all changed a bit now. Yeah. And a couple of people said, look, come and have a chat. Went and saw a firm down in Uckfield, really nice. Well, I went down to Eastbourne first, and they said, there's a place in Uckfield, we'll go and have a chat. And just having a random chat, and then a week later I got a letter in the post saying, would you like a job? And I was like, oh, okay. I was wearing my dad's suit, obviously, standard, And I finished my A-levels, and a week later I started, and it's just been constant since then. Which but I just did a trainee sort of college release, couple of days a week, and then progressed to my chartered, which was great, moving up the chain. Darren then joined, sort of the firm a bit later as a director, and I became his manager. So we worked very closely and ran a portfolio together on our own, which we thought we did pretty successfully. Hence the sort of next conversation. I remember going in, it was good experience and everything, and we enjoyed what we did, and we embraced sort of technology. I mean, it was early stages then with like cloud, and there wasn't really much of that going on, but trying to be efficient, make things slicker. We're quite I suppose you get sort of drummed into kind of where solicitors are old school, a bit grey and a bit dull, and this is the way we've always done it, so why change it? But we wanted to take things forward. And I remember walking in, having a chat with him, I said, Daz, maybe we should think about this for ourselves. We could do things a bit different. And he's like, funny enough, been thinking about that. Yeah. So we sort of, I think it was about 4 or 5 weeks later, we ended up leaving and buying some of our portfolio. And jumped straight in and thought, this is easy running a business, isn't it? We've been helping people for years. It will be straightforward. And it wasn't a shock to the system. We just, I suppose, you look back and you're quite naive. I mean, I was 26 at the time. Okay. So I say young, but I felt older. Obviously, I was very mature back then. Maturer then, probably. And we just sort of set up in Tunbridge Wells, which seems like a lifetime ago, actually. Well, nearly 15 years ago. Yeah. And just the two of us. A secretary joined about a month later, but the first month we hit the ground running, flying. A lot of clients came with us, which was great, a lot of support, and just didn't look back. I suppose some of the things you take for granted is like sort of with other people doing their job. Well, who's going to do our internal accounts? Who's going to do our invoicing? That'll be us. And it was like sort of getting used to that. But that's pretty much how it evolved, and still growing strong. Yeah, and I'm sure there's been a lot of changes along the way. But obviously changes that you've had to adapt into your business as well to see it grow. Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I sort of look back to when I was a trainee, you were given a big cash book. I remember sitting in a boardroom once with this A3 sheets of printing off somebody's cash book. I mean, but that was a typed cash book. A lot of people wrote in cash books, literally handwritten, and then you'd have to tick that to the bank, and that was notoriously what a junior would do, and check that, and you'd spend 3 days or 3 hours, just ticking and checking stuff like that. And so cash book, money in, money out. Yeah, basically. Literally just written down, and that went to stationery, and that goes in that column and stuff like that. So it's changed a lot. I mean, some people still do that. I'm actually meeting with a potential today who says he's doing it that way, and I said we need to talk about that because it's not quite, things, you've got to embrace technology. So I suppose from that point it sort of moved to utilising Excel, and people still use Excel, and that's good, that works, but things are changing very rapidly, you know, like cloud software. I mean, there's always been sort of bookkeeping software, you know, the likes of QuickBooks and Sage. They've always had desktop software, which is very good and helps you with the VAT returns, maybe your payroll and stuff like that, but also reconciling your bank and stuff. I mean, it sounds very sort of laborious tasks and that. But if something can do something for you, it makes your life a lot easier. Yeah. And that's where cloud software now has come into its own. Yeah. And I think I think there's the people that are reluctant to change, which always has been. You know, there's the people that come in with their paper bag, and I think you're seeing less and less of that. I definitely encourage every new client I see, whether it's an existing business or a startup business, to just utilise a cloud software like the likes of QuickBooks or Xero. I mean, there's lots out there. They're all very good. Yeah. As you know, our preferred option is QuickBooks, but it has, I think it's made things more efficient, because I think, as we all do, it's a fast world we live in now. I sound like an old man saying that, but even since I was younger, you know, people want things now. They want it instant. And, you know, I go back to like when I was sort of a manager back at my previous firm, you would send out the documents in a letter. Yeah. And that would almost give you a week's grace. Now it's an email and you get a response straight away, and it's like, oh God, wow, I've got to get on with this. You know, I wasn't expecting him to come back. So, and then you end up having email conversations. So part of me thinks that's sometimes a bit negative, because rather than, you know, a lot of people don't want to talk these days. No. But I've enjoyed sort of during COVID talking a lot more with clients, because they've needed to talk, you know, with the support, what's available, and I've kind of missed that. And now we're sort of getting back to, I say normality, I don't know what normality is, but trying to get more meetings going and stuff. But I think you've got to embrace technology and utilise it. It's quick, you know. Clients, the expectation is very high of clients. You know, it's like, well, what are you going to do for me? Well, it's not just, you know, we're accountants. We deal with your compliance, and I always say that to a client. We're the same as every accountant. We'll keep you compliant. We'll do your tax returns. We'll do your accounts. We'll do this. We'll tell you when your tax is due. And that should be a given. Yeah. Unfortunately, some slip, you know, with clients and stuff like that. And other accountants maybe let people down or don't provide it in a timely manner. I mean, it's a bit of give and take from the client as well. But obviously, that should be a given to keep you compliant. That's what you're paid to do. Yeah. It's all the extra bits, isn't it? Sort of working with the client, understanding their business, where like, you know, talk about the sat nav for the business, the website, where you want to go, where are you now? You know, that's, dare I say it, the sexy bits. You know, that's the exciting bit. That is, because as much as sort of say jumped into Synergee, I thought I understood business until you own and operate a business. You realise the pressures, the collecting money from clients, you know, sorting out your VAT. You know, so I know we're obviously a numbers firm. You think we're good at numbers. We are. We know our numbers. Of course we do. And you know, probably dive into it too much because we just love it. But there's a lot more involved in business, isn't there? As you know, recruitment, you know, I mean, that's tough, you know, trying to find, you know, the talent pool is getting smaller and smaller. And the expectation of trainees or qualified accountants is tricky. Yeah. You know, that, and especially given the last, you know, 2 years, do I move jobs? You know, I'm working from home at the moment. Or will my new employer offer that? Yeah. And I think you do. But you have to. We all have to adapt. We've all had to adapt, no matter what business you're in. Yeah, it's funny. There's so many topics you can talk about, isn't there, about accountancy and running a business. And you know, which bit do you touch on? We need hours and hours to actually go through everything. But it's really interesting how it's evolved into cloud and onto computers, really. And I visualise these older gentlemen in a book, like you were talking about, writing down the ins and outs of the money. And I always used to think that they're super careful with their money, and I'm sure they were. And that going on to maybe computerization is going to take that away from them. But it doesn't, does it? It actually helps them, it actually moves them forward, and they actually simplifies things for them, I'd say. I agree. Yeah. I talk about my father-in-law. He used to floor lay, and he used to write his... it was immaculate. You know, it really was. And he'd find like a 1p difference. And I used to say to him, you've spent like, all Sunday afternoon trying to find that. Why are you doing that? Let's do this. Let's embrace it. I mean, some people are reluctant to change. Yeah. You know, we've had some clients that we've of a certain generation where they have moved on to the cloud, but they've also kept the written cash book just in case.
Okay, back up.
I mean, hey, each to their own, but technology is there for embracing. And as I said, we're in a fast world. We want everything now. Hence like Amazon and all that. And also, I know it sounds silly, but with credit cards, it used to be when I was younger, you saved up to get things. Now we all want it, bang, we want it there. So with cloud accountancy software, I love it. I think it's, of course I do, but it can make our life easier. I get a lot of clients going, "Oh, it's making your life easier." It's like, well, yes and no, but it's going to help me to help you because, like you say, you can link a bank account now. Link a bank account. It sucks in the transactions, doesn't post it for you, but you can set rules and stuff like that. And with a bit of training, and it's not making the client a bookkeeper, because that is a separate role.
Yeah.
And bookkeepers are required for a lot of businesses, but sometimes it can be sort of the partner is working on the books and stuff like that. And if you can I love automation, as I said earlier, it's just sort of, if things can get done for you, we all like that. You stick at what you're good at, but obviously with cloud software, link the bank, that brings it in. You can hit a P&L, any touch. Obviously, if you put in crap, you get crap out. And I used to say that when I was sort of planning jobs for juniors. It was like, if I just chuck it at them, I'm going to get a pile of rubbish back. Whereas if you sit down and go through it, so therefore with technology, as long as you sort of keep an eye on it, and that's where I like it little and often. Instead of being historic, because I always say to people, "Oh, have you got a set of your last accounts if I'm taking on a new client or whatever?" But it's historic.
Yes.
I could be looking at June last year. It's like, well, you had a good year then. How's this year going? Well, we don't know, because it's all written in a cash book or it's all in Excel. Which is great, and it's ticking the boxes for the VAT returns and you're paying your CIS, and we've got money in the bank. Well, that's great. Okay, but we owe this much and we owe this much, and it used to take so long to sort of fathom where people were at, whereas cloud software, it's not touch of a button. It can be in certain smaller service businesses. Obviously, your bigger business, your builders, where they're buying and this and that, and there's obviously cash flow and stuff, but that's where technology can really help you without you having to, dare I say it, incur significant accountancy fees, because you don't need a full-time accountant. Some people, they get on, put someone in. I've changed a few clients in recent years where they had like a bookkeeper or an internal accountant coming in 2-3 days a week, but now they don't. Because they've moved to the cloud. We're like, well, we can look at that. Every business is different, but they still need to, in my mind, reconcile the bank, reconcile the VAT, and know where they are. And that leads on to sort of helping clients more, because if you've got up-to-date information, and it's been so crucial over the last 2 years, the world changed overnight. I mean, I still remember having a chat with Darren going, well, let's send the staff home, we'll come back in a couple of weeks. And I mean, that was before the lockdown, and it just changed. And I think we're kind of getting back to it, but people still need a hold of their numbers, and it's crucial, and cloud allows that from anywhere as well.
Is it a legal requirement now, making tax digital? Is it you have to?
No, not as yet. I mean, for VAT it is,
and
I love it that the government are bringing it in, because it's
backs it up for you, doesn't it?
It does. Like I took on a new client recently. They're just sort of very small, sort of yoga teacher, and it's early days. They've been employed, want to change, do something they're passionate about. Great. And I've sort of said, day one, it's so easy to go, right, I think, and I mentioned QuickBooks Zero. They're like, I've seen the adverts, and making tax digital and all this singing and all this. And people go, I've heard of it before you even start, which helps, rather than going, well, you've got to pay for this software. I mean, there is a cost to it, but also it's a monthly rental. It's the latest software. You're not getting all this, you need to upgrade each year and you need to do this. And it's so easy to go, look, we can make it so it does a lot for you, so you can really focus on your business and market your business and perform the tasks, or take the lessons in yoga and all that malarkey. So I think it's so easy.
And it's not expensive though. You see, it's like £12 a month.
I mean, we managed to buy a lot in bulk actually and get it a bit cheaper. But there is that concern that the where making tax digital is going to become in time sort of compulsory for income tax and corporation tax as well, that basically they could sort of flood the market and go, prices gone. But I'll be honest, even the full price, like some will retail at £20. It depends which one you want, but you can get the smaller version. You know, for a smaller sole trade, it's not an added cost, and also I think you'll get back how much it costs. It's like everything, isn't it? You know, I think like you sort of, I could put up a fence, but you know, especially given what's been going on the last couple of days, but you know, I'm not the best person for it. So I'd rather go and earn some money doing what I'm good at to pay someone to do that. I'm not saying that's what you do, but if it's going to save you time, you balance that up, don't you?
Yeah, you do. You concentrate on what you're good at, and you get someone else to do what they're good at.
And it should work. You know, obviously, don't get me wrong. You don't throw money away, and that's where I sometimes see it, that some people have been in our industry, or in all industries. Some people are paying over the top, aren't they? As long as you're getting the service and the information you need, you know, that's where cloud accounting is sort of allowing you to have the information to make informed decisions. Yeah. So that's where I think, you know, I almost want to make it compulsory for every client to be on the cloud, you know, because there will be a time, I think, even people that are using desktop software, they're going to have to migrate to the cloud. Of course. Because it used to be, even with Sage, it would be you had to go and see the client, take a backup, bring it back, change the figures. Whereas where we've got, you know, we operate a sort of monthly service. We obviously want as many people to be on the cloud because I can dip in and out. A client phones me and go, I've got an issue. I can look at it instantly. Yes, of course. You know, wherever, you know, give or take wherever I am, whether I'm at home or in the office, I can have a quick look at it and I can tweak it and go, right, I've just had a quick review. I've had 10 minutes. I've just changed that. You posted that wrong. Here's where you're at. Yeah. You know, any stage, as long as it's up to date. Yeah. Whereas, you know, and I think that's important to make decisions, you know, like people going from remortgages, but they're going halfway through a year. And mortgage lenders are they want more detail. They don't necessarily want management information, but they do want up-to-date information. And, you know, and bank managers, you can't go to the bank for a loan. Obviously, the bounce back loans and people it's been relatively straightforward. But now, you know, people have started repaying those. So they need to know, is the cash flow there? And little things like technology can help that. I mean, we do have a monthly service that we like to offer to clients where I call it sort of the little and often. So instead of doing everything at the year end, we log on to your QuickBooks, your Xero, your cash flow, your Sage once a month, and we have like a checklist that we would, I suppose, carry out at the year end. You know, check the bank, check the VAT. Is that allocated correctly? Is there anything that looks silly? Are the wages in there? You know, because some people they don't know how to post the wages, or they haven't been shown, and therefore they're going, I'm doing really well. And you suddenly realise they've posted. Sounds a bit picky, but they've posted it to the balance sheet, and therefore they're showing it. And we've had that conversation where they've been £30,000 out, and it's frightening, really. Yeah. But you just think, well, that's where I need to be. So if you do little and often, and maybe give them a provision of kind of how they're doing with tax, then they know what's coming. You know, rather than, you know, like the recent tax return deadline, well, as of next week now, but people bringing in their stuff now, and I'm unfortunately telling them they've got a tax bill. It's always too high. Well, not everybody, obviously, but it's almost like they leave it because they don't want to know. Whereas actually, I encourage people, look, I like things done out of the way, so you know where you are. And do you know what? If you are a bit short with the money then, and you've still got 6 months to pay, at least you can put something in place. And
HMRC are pretty good right now, aren't they, as far as letting people pay over a month?
They've been very lenient. I know everyone gets on their case, and as you can see, the government are putting up taxes, and it's going to happen, unfortunately. And I mean, everyone hears all the stories how Amazon don't pay tax, and all. You just need to ignore that. Really, it's not the same, but they've been really lenient. I found people that have just given them a call. The best thing to do with the government is call them. Is have a chat. That's easier said than done. Sometimes you phone up and you're half an hour on wait, and then you get cut off and that. But I've found actually they've been really good with like deferred VAT, even the personal tax. Just phone up and make it, suggest a plan. I haven't seen, even when people with the revenue have said no, I found that if you I remember one guy, he said, look, just start making the payments, or get your client to start making the payments, and we shouldn't really do anything, because there's far worse people out there that have run off.
Of course,
do you know what I mean? But I think if you show a commitment, it's like anything, isn't it? But it's like when you go to your bank, and I get this with banks as well. It's like people go, I want to borrow this much, and I've been chatting to a few bank managers recently. They're like, have you got a plan how to repay that? And they're like, well, yeah, we'll make money. It's like, no, they want to see that. And the revenue want that. They want a bit of, what are you going to offer? So I think, but again, it's just communication, really.
Yeah, definitely. So your onboarding process, talk us through how someone rings you up and says, hey, I want to use you, that process from beginning to end. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, great choice for straight away.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, exactly. I mean, you have two kind of onboarding. It might be a new client or sort of an existing business.
Yeah.
Existing business, sometimes they don't know what to do. They've been with their accountant for 15, 20 years and they want to change. And it might be, so it's a very straightforward process. Obviously talk to them about how you operate, what you're doing, how we're going to get the books. Are they in cloud software? Are they in Excel? Are they a paper bag? Stuff like that. Hopefully not the latter. And you basically just agree a fee.
Yeah.
Like I said, I tend to try and move them onto a cloud software or monthly, a monthly cost, which covers the service. I think that's almost pay as you go, which I like, and the clients seem to like it. And it's I say it's little and often for them as well. So
they don't get their big bill at the end of the year,
exactly.
do they?
I'm doing their accounts. There's your tax bill. Oh, and here's my bill. Funny enough, I know which one they tend to prioritise, and that is unfortunately the tax. But so agree that. And when you move from another accountancy firm, we write to them for what's known as professional clearance. They basically send us a copy of the previous year's files.
Yeah.
And it is as simple as that.
Okay.
It's people worry about it and get stressed about it, and they're going to be, but you obviously have to give them authority to speak to us. Yeah. And then literally it's just onboarding. But we make that smooth. I like to think I think it's evolved over the years. Electronically, we've got software. We use a portal system, so we upload engagement terms and everything that can be signed electronically. So that can be instant, as I said earlier, rather than send in the post and send a copy of your passport. ID checks can be done all online. So suddenly, I mean, I've got numerous clients I haven't actually met, in person.
Right.
I've spoken to them a bit on Teams, I suppose, but it's a bit strange. You sort of phone up and talk to people, but we can act for anyone. Especially with cloud software, I can log in at any point and see where they're at. So
globally.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I've got clients up north, I've got clients on the Isle of Wight and stuff like that. I've always threatened to sort of pop in and see them, but I'm not sure they'd be too keen. But it's really straightforward. And then they're on our system. We're registered as their agents. That means we can talk to the revenue on their behalf straight away. So I try and make it as seamless as possible. Yeah. And I think clients want that. We sort of say we pride ourselves on our systems and, again, automation. I've got a good admin team that will follow up on that and make sure we are down so that we can crack on, so that if there is an issue, we can deal with it straight away rather than... So that's really straightforward. And it's the same for a new startup. I mean, it might be setting up a software, but even then, I don't need to be in the next room. I've got one coming up where I'm doing it on Teams. And I just share a screen. They see what's going on. They can take control. And it's just embracing technology again.
And using it the right way. So the services that you offer, so VAT, payroll, talk us through these services.
Okay, well, obviously we do your accounts, personal tax returns. They're the core of our business. We get involved with some VAT returns. We're not bookkeepers as such.
Of course,
we don't really get involved in that. We might oversee some automation where there might be a system for using something like auto entry, or Receipt Bank. What used to be Receipt Bank, it's Dex now, where invoices can be sort of scanned and they attach to a QuickBooks and stuff. But we'll oversee VAT returns for clients. So again, we have like a QuickBooks online service or online service for any software where it's a monthly process, and then that might lead into keeping their compliance. So it might be their monthly payroll, their weekly payroll, and their VAT returns, or CIS returns. They want to keep it in one place. We don't go out and say we just do VAT returns or we do payroll, and you'll see on our website we've kind of slimmed it down a little bit. We are accountants, but we want to promote the sort of added value services. The compliance, don't worry, we'll do that as well.
Of course,
that's a given, but all the interesting bits and sort of helping you run your business. But we deal with compliance. We're not tax specialists and say that we're this and help with business investment, stuff like that. But we will assist. But we stick to the core, that is required, and also it's regular work.
Of course.
Exactly. It's nice and steady, and I say it's straightforward. It is most of the time.
Well, it is to you, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You're
Well, that's the
expert.
thing. You take it for granted. You know, even when you're showing a client, we just do this, do that,
Mm.
and then you realise it's like I said, someone's showing me how to put up a fence, and I'm going, yeah, great, yeah, that's brilliant.
Do we do that again? Yeah. Well, thanks, Matt. That's been brilliant. A really
Yeah.
good insight into the business, your side of it, and especially into cloud and how that works and
Brilliant.
how important it is. So, all Matt's details are on the Brilliant Businesses podcast. If you need any help with accounting or any business support, compliance, as you said, please get in touch. And thank you for joining us today on the podcast.
Thank you very much, Nick.
Good to see you, and we'll have another podcast soon. If you like what we're doing, please subscribe and catch you again soon. Thanks very much.